Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today it's all about wordplay. It's creative ways of using words to get your team to answer, because today we're talking about a game called Crosstalk from Nauvoo Games. This is on Kickstarter right now. This is a party game for 4 to more players, and it has a lot of creative wordplay and guessing and clue giving, but there's some interesting twists to this game. So let me show you how it's played, and I'll see you on the other side. Now this is a Kickstarter preview, so all artwork and components, this is total prototype. But in this game there's 2 teams, the black team and the blue team. Each team will have 1 clue giver. Here we see the private clue board for the black clue giver, their pen, and an extra clue board. And likewise, the blue team's clue giver will get the same thing for their color. These 2 will sit on one end of the table next to each other across from all the other players. In the middle of the table, a public clue board will sit there that both clue givers will be using to give everyone clues. And then each respective teams will have their little boards and markers of their color that they'll be using to sort of talk to each other, because these clue guessers, they can talk, but they don't really want to, because the more they talk, the more the other team will start to think of their train of thought. So they use these boards to kind of talk to each other. And the same goes for the other team. The clue guessers each get their, the boards there, and they have some markers to write on. These are all dry erase. Now the object of the game is to get 5 points by getting your team to guess a certain amount of keywords over the course of the game. Now at the beginning of the round, the 2 clue givers will secretly pick one of these words off the keyword card. These are double-sided, and there's a ton of cards, and sometimes they're just one word. Sometimes it's a compound word. Sometimes it's more than one. It's a phrase. It can be anything, really. And both of those players would secretly pick one of these and decide together what it's going to be. If they can't decide, you can roll the dice and pick it that way. In this case, let's just say the 2 clue givers said, you know what, Gettysburg is going to be the secret keyword for this round, and both teams are trying to figure this out. Once they've decided on the keyword, each team clue giver will take their private clue board and they will write a one-word clue on here. And there's certain rules. It can't be a proper name or noun. It can't be anything that's capitalized. It can't be no homonyms. It can't be any part of the word. There are some rules that you can't put here, but it's always a one-word clue in this game when you're giving it. So this team, this clue giver would take this, they would write it down, they would flip it over and secretly give it to the blue team, and all the blue team guessers get to look at this. This is obviously a clue that they know about that the other team does not know about. And of course the other team's doing it too, so let's say the black team put war for theirs, and they then put this down and pass it to their team, so each team has a secret clue that the other team doesn't know. Now randomly one team will get picked at the beginning of the game to be the first public clue giver. Let's say it's black. Black will write in a public clue here and read it to everybody. Then what happens is the blue team gets to guess. So as the black player, clue giver, gets to give the clue, the other team is the first ones to guess. So you want to give clues that will get people to get the answer, but you don't want to be too obvious because the other team is going to be the first one to guess. So let's say they wrote down civil. They'd say civil, and the blue team would get to guess. Now they can talk about it, but again, they don't want to talk out loud because they could be giving out too much information. That's why they're going to use these boards to write down what they're thinking and showing it to the other teammates. They're nodding, usually being pretty quiet. If they don't know the answer for sure, they might want to pass, because if they guess, then that's actually giving some information to the other team that they probably know, like what route are they kind of going down. It might give away a little bit of their own private clue that they got. So maybe let's just say they pass. Then it goes to the blue public clue. So the blue public clues will come next, and that clue giver will then put one there. So then the blue team goes ahead and puts a public clue there, says 4, and then the black team gets to guess. Now this team put 4 here because if you remember secretly, maybe they're trying to get them, hey, it's an address, and 7 years ago was the beginning of that. So maybe they're trying to get them to go down that route. And let's just say the black team then passes. Now anytime your team guesses or passes once per game, you can give them some additional secret clues using this clue board. Let's talk about that. Now you can only give this once per sort of round here, and so you can do different things. You can tell them, hey, combine these 2 words, or ignore this word, or I'm emphasizing this word, or hey, this is partially right, or hey, this is going to be opposite. So maybe I'm trying to throw the other team off because I think they're getting close. Now what I might say is, hey, this is the black team. I'm going to be giving the black team a guess here. What I want to do is maybe throw off the other team by saying, you know what, my next clue I'm going to say do the opposite of. So they get this and they go, okay, the next clue we give, we know it's going to be the opposite of. And of course, this is given face down secretly to the black team, and only they get to see it. Now, if you remember, the black player, the clue giver, just said this was going to be opposite. So his team knows that Confederate is it's actually, the real thing has to do with the opposite of that, but it might throw this blue team off. So the blue team goes, civil, Confederate, they know it's address, that they're not quite sure, let's say they pass. And then, if they want, the blue team could give them a clue. And let's say they do that. So let's say the clue they gave to their blue counterparts is this. This says, hey, combine my clues first and second. Now they haven't written their second yet, but they're getting ready to say, hey, combine these two things together. By the way, the emphasis, let's put the emphasis on the first black team's clue. Now keep in mind, you can also do it for the answers too. So you can be listening to what the other teams are answering, remembering that, and you can be playing off what they actually answered. So let's say this player put score. So again, they told their team secretly for score. Put those together, an emphasis with civil. So maybe, again, now the black team is going to get to guess. They know that it's opposite Confederate, they know it's civil, and their private clue, if you remember, was war. Can they guess it? But if you remember, the black team's going to get to guess now. They know it's opposite Confederate, so they know it's like the North. They know it's about civil, for score. They know it's about the Civil War. And so they say Gettysburg, and they get it right. In this case, they would get a point, 1, and you're trying to get to 5. These would all get erased for the next round, and then essentially the team that did not score this round would get to decide who writes the first clue next round, because as we know, whoever writes the first clue, the other team gets to guess first. That's pretty much how you play. First 1 to 5 points wins. It does say that you should switch the clue givers up each round. That's what the rules say. I like to also sometimes keep the same clue giver if everyone's new, but that's basically how you played. First 1 to 5 points is the winner. Now, after 4 clues, now remember, the clue giver actually gives the private one first. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're actually getting 5 clues. But after this, then basically just the blue team gets to guess, and then the black team gets to guess. And so that's pretty much how the game ends if you keep going with more and more clues. And if you get to the end and no one guesses, then no one gets a point that round. So let me just show you all the different types of cards and things. Like, you can just look at these cards as I'm going through these, snowmobile, sea lion, mash, bite your tongue, Moses, hermit crab, Spartacus, headshot, mouthwash, take me out to the ball game, elf on a shelf, pictures worth 1,000 words, Napoleon, Thor, caveman, pearl necklace, Jamaica over here, cookie cutter, stingray, dragonfly, Swiss Army knife, the ugly duckling, Kremlin, shopping cart, extinct, bagpipes, continents, the Brady Bunch, bookworm, Chef Boyardee, tennis elbow, Larry the Cable Guy, Statue of Liberty, Romeo and Juliet, directory. As you can see, they're very different, very diverse. Some are people, some are places, some are just things. Lots of different variations, some words, some phrases, a little bit of everything here, and there's a ton of cards in this game. All right, well, there you go with Crosstalk. Now, Nabu Games really came out of the gate strong with their first game called Stockpile, which did really well. I reviewed it very favorably. It won a lot of awards. And now they're back at it again with a completely different game, which is always good to see with this party game. Now, when Codenames came out a while back, everyone kind of went nuts over how this party game could be so good with mass market and so good with gamers. And, then it won the Spiel des Jahres. So you knew that there were going to be people trying to sort of capture that same lightning in a bottle with people trying to do some creative word games or party games that are just amazing. And they have a valiant effort here. I think this game is very unique. One of the things, I love Codenames to death, but one of the problems I have with it is when you're teaching new people, it's kind of hard to be the clue giver the first time. It's a brain melt. This game kind of takes that barrier of entry out of it because it's actually easier than Codenames to give the clues, I think. I think it might actually even be harder on the guessing side, which is good because usually you have more than one player there and you're working together. So I think this game's even more accessible than Codenames is, but I wouldn't say it's short on depth because, man, especially adding that extra clue board where you can combine things or say opposite or synonyms or ignore, that adds such a layer of depth that you could be basically telling them clues about things that you haven't even said yet. And so this game, it offers so much. I think it's a great traditional style party game, but it's that new flavor that people are going to love. So if you like Codenames, I think this is going to be, that crowd is going to love this. And even if you didn't, for whatever reason, this one is still very different, right? It combines a little bit of that Codenames-ish thing with password, with a game that I used to play a while back called Pass Ackwards, which was like one player would give a one-word clue just like this, but you were scripted as to which words you could give. So this kind of took that very interesting engine and really opened it up to allow you to be ultimately creative. You can create anything you want, any words you want there to give them the answers. And so it really opened up the floodgates for creativity. And then again, the layer of depth of that extra that word. So it took a lot of things that are already popular and good, made them a lot better, made them streamlined, but yet made them more depth. It's just really good. So anyway, this is a preview. This is on Kickstarter right now, so I don't typically give opinions of games. I'm just kind of trying to show you if you like this, you'll probably like this. But I will say that in the next couple of weeks, you're going to see this game show up on a list of mine that's pretty prestigious. So I'm not going to give any more opinion. I'm just kind of trying to gear you towards what is what. So you should know by now if this game is for you and it's on Kickstarter right now. You can click that link below and it'll be brought right to the Kickstarter page. And I'm sure the people at Nabu Games would love your support.